Hi, I'm Dominic Jones for Degrees TV, and I went out to dinner the other night with a friend of mine to Basil, the Thai restaurant downtown. Now they say if you live in Paso Robles and you haven't eaten at Basil, you're stinking crazy. But I'd say if you've even driven through Paso Robles and you haven't eaten at Basil, then you're crazy, because that place is just that good. But anyway, so we show up and there's slam. I mean, slam. And there's a line starting to head out the door, waiting for the hostess to come seat us. Now my friend and I, we've both been waiters, we know the drill. Sometimes it just gets so crazy, you can only do so many things at one time. Some of the other customers were getting a little testy, and that kinda, I'm king of the world, so you better tend to my every whimpering need before I revive the use of the guillotine sort of way. Anyway, this one woman turns to me and kind of chuckles to herself and says, they're the ones that need our money, so I suggest they get their act in order. She felt pretty proud about saying that to her, but I just kind of looked at my friend like... So anyway, I started thinking as I looked around the room, lady, I know the waitstaff ought to be polishing your nails and rubbing your shoulders right now, but I think the reason they're not doing that is because they probably don't need our money tonight. I mean, we could probably have walked out of that place and eaten somewhere else, and Basil would have made just as much money as if we'd all stayed and had 7 courses. I mean, I know the reason that you start a business is because, you want to trade a product or a service in exchange for money, right? But it's not like Basil had some guy out on the street with a flag trying to get us in saying, please, we desperately need customers right now, Anyway, that got us to start talking about what is it about the restaurant industry itself that can turn otherwise sweet, caring, forgiving individuals into the most demanding and entitled little brats. So in my usual fashion, I went to Cal Poly and asked a few students what they thought was behind that phenomenon. Check it out.
Alright, my theory on why people are so rude at restaurants sometimes compared to other places is because they finally have a chance to have power over someone else and the other person can't really do anything about it because they're trying to keep their job. So the people who are asking for the food sometimes feel like they should abuse their power that they have by having someone else serving them. So that's my theory.
I think some people think that they're not, bussing tables and taking orders from other people, which makes them better, even though it doesn't.
People just want their food to be right, and I don't know, they're tired of putting up with everything else, so they go to the restaurant, and that's the time to snap. I don't know.
I think that it has to do with the fact that they believe that since they're paying for their food and that it's a service industry, and the people who are working there, they think are there to serve them, and so they think they can demand things special orders with no extra charge or whatever. That and I don't know why, I can't really decide why they don't do that at Walmart or something, but it makes sense. If you're in a restaurant environment where everyone's there and basically the point is to make the customers as happy as you can, it kind of breeds this environment where the customers think that they can basically just get away with anything because they can, basically, because they can just demand random shit and the people will give it to them. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got.
I guess just because you kind of have power over that person at that moment when you're they're there to serve you. So maybe people it gets to their head and they're like, oh, I can be a jerk. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I think just the virtue of expecting someone else to prepare your food for you. I mean, you are paying for their service, but at the same time, I don't know, if your expectations aren't 100% met, then I can see how some people would get annoyed and thus act like jerks.
Probably just that when they go out they want to be treated, that's part of the reason they go out, and then when things don't go their way they just kind of get restless, and then especially when people are hungry they get monsters too, so I mean that kind of all plays in together. That's what I've noticed.
I think it's because they're spending money on their food, they want it done right. So because they have to spend money on extra money for the service, they expect certain things.
That'd be my answer too.
Sorry?
That'd be my answer too. They expect certain things because they're paying extra for it.
like people go to a restaurant for like an experience and they don't really think about like how like what they say and what they do like impacts the people that are supposed to be helping them, because I think it's definitely like a two-way street when you associate with people, and I think people forget that like when they go and sit down in a restaurant that like their waiters and the cooks and the service people, they're people too, and I think people just forget that because they're supposed to be taking care of you, when I guess it's true, but at the same time like you still have to, there's like boundaries that you just don't cross. Like you don't ask for certain things, you just don't say for certain things. Like if you're nice to them, they're gonna be nice to you. I think people forget that.
I personally think it's like people who are somewhat jerks on the inside, like generally don't display it around their friends. I mean, so you're not really gonna be a jerk to your friend, but like when you go to a restaurant or something, you're there, and you're like, this person, like, not that they're lowly, but they're just like working for cheap. They're kind of just like waiting on you, and so then you just, I don't know, you display your like inner like jerk outwardly, I guess. So yeah, that's about it.
People have a like a kind of like a condescending manner, as in they think they might be better than employees at restaurants or people that work at restaurants, because they feel as if they're there solely to serve them, and no matter how they act, they can still get the same service, you know? So, I mean, maybe it might be easier to act like however you want, you know, without feeling anything for someone else. So, you know, if being mean or being demanding is a way of getting something, then you can do it because there's no consequence, really. I mean, they'll still get you your food or bust your table or whatever it may be. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
All right. I think what people think they have more power, like if they step into a restaurant, because just like by going in there and getting service, the waiters are like serving them, and they're like it kind of puts them in a lower position because they're trying to make that person happy, and also because the person going to the restaurant, they tip, they decide like how much they want to tip, so it's kind of they have like kind of like a grading scale on how well they think they did, and it's just more they have like the power in that situation.